What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome once again to the Tuffy Talk live show, y'all. Definitely exciting, but obviously a little bit tougher Tuffy Talk live show today than normal. Obviously, coming off of a tough weekend for the Pac-9, which started off with a lot of excitement for sure, but definitely did not end as we had expected or had hoped for. We will be getting all into that here today. So make sure if you haven't already, again, just if you're here with us, send us a comment. Let us know who's here with us. Already got Michelle, one of our great followers, here with us. Join in. Just let us know who's here. Let us know what questions you have, and we will get to them here today, guaranteed. But with that being said, guys, started off. Give a shout out here to our two of our own, Greg the Leg, Kinsey Blackwater, who supported the Pac-9 and represented Tuffy Talk well in the Columbia, South Carolina Hot Bowl that it is. So, Greg, kind of give it to me first. Again, for those who followed me and not followed me, followed us and saw me and my wife, it was definitely an interesting weekend for us, state versus South Carolina. And so I've been to Columbia plenty of times. I always say that however hot it is anywhere on the East Coast at about 10 degrees, and that's about how hot it is in Columbia. Columbia is I don't know what it is. It has just like these reflectors somehow that just radiate heat in Columbia. It is hot in Columbia. So, I mean, Greg, it was like 80 here. Did it feel like in the 90s there?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was interesting because it said 81, but feels like 96. So I don't even know how that's even possible. But yes, Friday was comfortable. There was a nice little breeze. Saturday, thankfully, we had the evening game, so it had cooled off a little bit. Sunday, again, it said like 78, but it was like a feel high of 88 or something ridiculous. So it could have definitely been worse in June, right? I mean, we'll take that. It wasn't 90s, feels like 150. So there wasn't, I wasn't getting eaten up by prehistoric bugs or anything like that. So I will take it and be thankful, because I remember, like we talked about last week at Omaha, it was hot there. So I will take what we had in Columbia pretty much 9 times out of 10.
I love Michelle's comment here saying there's a screen door between HE double hockey sticks in Columbia, South Carolina, according to a friend who has lived there. And they leave the screen door open too. So it was, like I said, it wasn't horrible. I was pleasantly surprised looking at the weather going into it and thinking this is going to be either really miserable or probably miserable. So it was just a little miserable, especially with the outcome. Yeah, 100%. And I know that for me, I've been to a good amount of South Carolina football games because my wife was in the color guard. And I could say that I went one time, I think it was late September, that it was the first SEC game South Carolina had played, and it was against Arkansas. And basically how the stadium is aligned, it's kind of like Carter Finley, where on the Von Tower side, it's pretty much 90% of the time, unless it's like a direct noon game early in the year, then it's mostly shaded. But on the other side, especially in there, you're cooking, and there's nothing there to help you whatsoever. South Carolina, same thing. If you're on the opposite side, upper level, especially upper level, you're cooking. And it took me that one game getting the cheap tickets on the opposite side to go, yeah, I'm not doing this again. So
there's a reason they're the cheap ones, right? On that
there's
side.
There's a reason they're cheap ones. And I was like, because I was like, it's the same view. It's just the opposite side of the field, but it's like $50 cheaper. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm gonna do that. And from now on, I'll pay the $50 to avoid that.
And I'm sure for every dollar, it's a degree, right? So it was 50 degrees hotter. So you pay for the extra. I figured that after Carter Finley too. I was like, I want to be on the home side. There's a reason they put the home team in the shade, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Michelle, we have to bring up Omaha with a sad face. But anyway, though, so
real quick story yesterday. They were showing past winners of the College World Series, and then collectively, when they got to 2021, there was a scattering of boos from the NC State fan section. So we have not forgotten. And it was some of the locals were like, well, why are you booing? You're like, you guys don't remember like that whole story. They're like, oh yeah, we remember now. So
You guys were begging for regionals, and while we were competing for a national championship. So anyway, but yeah, no, I mean, I think that that will always be remembered. And see, that's the biggest thing, which just still pains me about the NCAA, just kind of brush off decision making during that whole process. Was like, you do know this is going to put a huge asterisk on whoever wins this for the end of time, and this will be remembered until the end of time. There will never be a World Series or even many sports moments like this in sports history. And the fact
it's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, the fact that you had a Cinderella team, which I mean, people love Cinderellas. ESPN and sports love Cinderellas, and you had a Cinderella there really knocking on the national championship door. Like everybody was saying, dude, like State might go win it all. I mean, we had already beaten Vanderbilt. All we had to do is beat them 1 out of 2 times. And then you go on to face Mississippi State. And even we had a bunch of Mississippi State fans that were telling all NC State fans, like, yeah, no, y'all probably would have beaten us. But again, it's just it's a pain that it went that way. But again, it's yeah, Greg, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the outcome of that is we legitimately set a precedent, right? And so that will always be remembered and referenced anytime that, gosh forbid we ever have another pandemic or anything in that regard. But it will always be known as the NC State rule, right? Like, you have the Tuck rule, you have all these, famous plays and whatever. That's the NC State rule. I mean, it's going to be, never has a team been disqualified in a tournament. So yeah, we'll never forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's going on, Macon?
Not much, guys. Sorry, my computer's been freaking out on me. So I look like I'm in a dimly lit room right now. So
I know you're like
blink
you're
twice if you need help.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like me. I don't know if I do have a reason for wearing all black, because again, we are mourning the end of the 2022-2023 athletic season. But don't worry, I got something to switch into once we start.
I figured you were talking baseball. Was Greg talking about how long he took to drive down there?
It took a minute. It took a minute.
Was it a longer drive going down or coming back, Greg?
Yeah, it was definitely a longer drive. We broke it up going down, and then you wake up Friday morning hyped up, ready to go. I was cranking tunes, for the last 2 hours, getting ready to rock and roll, and then coming home it was just podcast. I just listened to podcasts.
You listened to Tuffy talk the whole time, right?
I listened to a couple of them. I sure did. Yeah. So
there we go.
Nice.
There we go.
Mostly the ones I was on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
All right, y'all. So first of all, give a shout out to Nick. What's going on, Nick? Appreciate you joining us, man. And again, y'all, let us know what questions you have for sure. Let us know your thoughts on the Pac-9 regional in Columbia. I mean, so for me, I guess let's start off with the first game against Campbell. To me, you have to highlight the bullpen. I mean, the bullpen seemed absolutely stellar. But I also wonder too if it was because the biggest story heading into that obviously was the Campbell chip on the shoulder, which is why I jumped so hard at the fact that, okay, maybe the talk should have been less about, the batting for Campbell and more maybe the bullpen for NC State, because the bullpen's been solid all year. Again, we'll get into kind of the stats on it, but relatively for the long portion of it, especially late in the season, the bullpen started to look really, really good. And to hold a team who averaged almost 10 runs a game to 1 run, I mean, geez, you got to be thrilled with that. Now, I mean, obviously, you could talk about James Groover having 2 home runs. You could talk about Candelaria having a career day for sure, but I don't think you can go a step further without talking about how impressive the bullpen was that day, specifically Whitaker or Wilson or Whitaker.
No, it was Rio and J Law.
Yeah, Whitaker started.
What to start? Yeah. Whitaker started. Whitaker started. Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Lawson was the man to finish out that game. I thought Rio didn't have the best. Britton didn't have the best game. But who came out to Logan Whitaker, right?
Yeah, Logan started 4 2/3, gave up 1 run.
Yeah, Whitaker and Lawson had good games.
No runs, excuse me.
Right, so they were good. They were good on Friday.
So.
No extra base hits either. Like none.
I know, very impressive. Crazy. So,
don't forget the defense. The defense was spectacular with the 2 catches. One went by Noah, and I think Trevor had the other one, if I'm not mistaken.
Chase Nixon had a highlight one.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Chase. It was left field, not center field.
Yeah. Yep. So again, definitely a lot of a lot of good there. But to me, y'all, the next two games was South Carolina and Campbell to finish off, losing 6-3 and then 11-1.
Yeah.
A couple things. First of all, the biggest thing which I want to talk about is Sam Highfill. Definitely.
Let's do Saturday first.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, no. Well, no. I guess just to me, I was more talking about just because it did really hit me hard, man. Seeing Sam struggle as much as he did, man. Just and seeing how emotional he was. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and just bring it up because, man, like that was a highlight for me. Like seeing how much Sam struggled. I felt more for Sam than anybody else at that point. Like I felt for the guys for sure, but for Sam and how much he's meant for this program, how much he's how inspirational his story started to end that way. It's like, oh man, that is not the way you want to see it go. But yeah, no. South Carolina, Greg, give it to me first, man. Initial thoughts. I mean, it seemed like a heck of an environment, first and foremost.
Yeah, it was. I talking to the parents from the ones that made the trip in 2021 down to Arkansas. They said that this environment was good, but nowhere near what Arkansas was. So for me, it was the most electric college environment, non-Omaha. I mean, I don't think anything will surpass that just because of the stakes involved. But South Carolina's got a really nice facility, and that's something that we probably want to try to attain at some point. I know we're making some nice renovations, but man, they had it going on. Beautiful big ballpark. You can walk around the whole thing. You come in from center field, and it's just a nice plaza with their back-to-back College World Series trophies there. Nice scoreboard, everything about it. I mean, it definitely reminded me of a probably high A, double A type minor league baseball facility. Very well done. Nice bullpens, just everything class. That's the cream of the crop. I think they were like one of the first schools in the SEC to really put the money into the baseball. Now everyone's now it's just an arms race in the SEC as far as facilities. But nice place. A couple of things about the fans, but fans are going to be fans. But other than that, the facilities were great.
Yeah, they were. South Carolina fans were definitely
they're chirpers.
Interesting. Which I had to kind of choose my words wisely because again, I was celebrating my wife's birthday this weekend, so I was around her most of the weekend, and so. But like in the back of my mind, I was getting text messages left and right, people going, "Man, are you watching these games? These daggone South Carolina fans." I'm like, yeah, they're pretty hardcore. So especially about baseball, which I mean, again, winning back-to-back national titles, a decade ago, definitely can do that for the.
Yeah, I mean that's arguably their most successful sport that they have. So, obviously when you they're kind of like Vanderbilt. That's where you put a lot of your eggs into that basket, right? And you want to continue to carry on that so you can continue to compete at a high level.
I mean, like just to kind of go over again, this is not the Gamecock talk, but football-wise, they won a division title. They didn't ever win the SEC, didn't win a national championship, anything like that. And then for the basketball side, they made it to the Final Four.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
And then women's basketball has done their thing, et cetera. Right. But in the main sports and men's basketball, baseball, and football, baseball is definitely the biggest.
Yeah, if you think about it, basketball has only come on recently. They had their success in baseball before.
They had their 1 year, and then that was pretty much it. So, yeah. But anyway, Michael, making anything y'all saw from your side since again I was kind of just trying to keep an eye on it.
Sam Highfill, or are we talking Saturday?
South Carolina still.
Saturday.
6-3 lost.
I honestly didn't get to watch the game, so I don't have a lot on it. I just saw the score, and then I saw what South Carolina did to the other teams, and I thought it was respectable. So to be honest with you, I mean I don't feel like you can do much there. They're the 1 seed for a reason. And I heard some commentaries say, has South Carolina been one of the best 1 seeds so far in the regionals? Like they've been one of the most convincing teams in the regionals across the country so far. Yeah. There's another team they mentioned out there that I can't remember who it was, but they said South Carolina's just gotten it done.
Well, yeah, and we can talk about big picture for the NCAA if we want to do that. But as far as for me on Saturday, Willitson gives up the home run early. You dig yourself into a 5-0 hole. Couple of things. You walk. I think we ended up walking 9 in that game, if my memory serves me correctly.
I got the box score here. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I think it was 9 that we ended up walking. We start chipping away in the sixth inning. We get 3 back. And then in the 8th, for me, that was really the one other thing I will talk about is the bullpen on Saturday night. Big John,
Jacob Helford.
9.
Helford, and there was one more, I think, that threw an inning or two.
Andrew Schaffner.
Schaffner, yes. So Halford and Schaffner had thrown very limited innings coming into that game, and they stepped up, and so they were the reason we even had a chance going into the 8th. Yeah. And in the 8th, you had Groover with a leadoff single, and you had Peebles hitting from the left side because he's a switch hitter, and he drilled that ball, and they had him played perfectly. And they were able to turn a double play on that, which again was another theme of the weekend. We hit three double plays on Saturday and 4 on Sunday, and obviously we'll talk about Sunday.
But I will say, Greg, it was nine walks that we gave South Carolina.
That's what I thought it was.
We had 0.
Right. And that was a theme too. We didn't get a lot of walks the whole weekend, or received a lot of walks. Excuse me. We gave plenty. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're very generous. Very generous.
Yeah. And that you just can't do that against good ball clubs. You can't give them extra outs. You can't give them free passes. Those are just things that you have to tighten up if you're going to win a regional, especially on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Michael.
Just the amount of double plays, inning-ending double plays too, that we hit into. So, like I don't know how that happened, but I mean, yeah, that game against South Carolina. We gave it to them. I mean,
they're
hitting the ball hard. Their starting pitcher was not great. He was good, but you got enough hits off of him, and you just gave it to him with the walks.
Well, and to be honest too, so in the first 5 innings, only one of them did we not go down 1-2-3, and that was in the first inning that we didn't go down 1-2-3. And especially in an environment like that, in a game of that magnitude, you got to take control early. So I know that, yes, it's great that we had 12 hits, but the problem is that most of that didn't come until the bottom of the 6th. And, by that point, South Carolina was already up 6-0. So they already had a pretty, firm control of the momentum scale. So it's like, it's great. But again, just once again, the story this year for baseball has been solid batting, but not at the right moments.
Not timely hitting.
Right.
Yeah, not
timely or
Hitting.
situational.
Yeah, not. I mean, well, because not only just with runners on base, but just like again right here, like we had great hitting, but later in the game, we have to have that early in the game. So, but yeah, I agreed. That's been the biggest frustration.
And that was the difference too between Friday and Saturdays. We talked about this in our lead up last week. Is you got to score early to get that pressure on the other team, and in the last 2 games, we were just working from behind and we just couldn't get the hits. We talked about the double plays, and we can jump to Sunday now if you want to talk Sunday. The last thing I will say is you mentioned the 12 hits on Saturday. We out hit South Carolina 12-8. Again, it was the double plays. It was leaving batters on or leaving runners on. And again, these are themes throughout the whole season that just continuously reared its ugly head.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for me, I don't really want to necessarily spend too much time on this, but one of the biggest head scratchers for the whole postseason really was, why did we take Parker Nolan from me out of the lineup? That to me would just seem a head scratcher. An established senior who, was hitting the ball well overall. I mean, he was one of our bigger hitters. And so to not see him pretty much at all in the postseason was a little bit odd. But
yeah. So go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead.
I agree. The decision was odd, but I mean, it ended up not hurting us that bad because Chance Nixon had a really good regional. He had
true.
I mean, he had the 2 RBI double in against South Carolina, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He got some hits. He hit the ball really hard, like almost every at bat. Just a couple of times they had him played well. Trevor was a regional player on the all regional team, so you can't be mad at that. The one thing, and then Noah on Saturday and especially Sunday, I think he had like 2 hits on Sunday. I don't remember what he had on Friday, but then he ended up getting pulled in the 8th on Saturday. So he had a productive series. So, and again, here's the problem: you can't put him at DH because you had Cannon Peebles, and Cannon Peebles had a nice series. Other than Friday, he went 1 for 5, but then I think the rest of the time he went like 3 for 6 or 4 for 7, something like that. So again, he was productive. So it's like, unfortunately, it's not softball where you can bat 10. So there's going to be an odd man out, and unfortunately, Parker Nolan was the odd man out. Now it was nice to see him get a hit yesterday, and his only plate appearance in a regional throughout his NCAA career. So at least he had that moment for himself. So we were, able to give that for him.
Yep. You can bat 10 in softball.
And like beer league softball, yeah.
Oh, it's like,
there you go.
Yeah.
Beer league.
I don't think women's softball bats 10, but
no.
Sorry, I was talking beer league softball.
So now jumping on to Sunday, I don't feel like we really need to necessarily spend too much time talking about this. Besides, for me, I really want to dive a little bit more into Sam Highfield again. 2.1 innings pitched. Gave up 7 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them which were earned. Walked 2 batters, only had 2 strikeouts, and threw 65 pitches to get there. And, again, for a guy who just 2 years ago was highlighted, for his amazing, astounding performance against Vanderbilt in the College World Series. And then, coolly enough, what he did in the Pac-13 game. And, I know last year he was dealing with back injuries that kept him out pretty much half the season. And then this year he had good moments for sure, but nothing which kind of stood out, superstar level necessarily per se. And then, to end it all like this, again, pitching 2.1 innings, giving up opening at bat home run, it was rough to watch. It was really tough to watch.
Yeah. If someone wants to go first, they can go first. But
no, I was excited that when we made the tournament that Sam gets another chance to pitch in postseason.
Yep.
And just kind of echoed what you said. To see it end like that was tough. Even more so that we went down early. It was
it just did not seem. Because I was tweeting the game. It was just not his day.
Yeah.
And when I looked at him, it did look like there was like something was on, like
he just
on
looked uncomfortable
or something like that. He just didn't look like he was all the way there, and or something was just seemed like something was on his mind. And I think personally, I think they kept him in too long. When they went up like 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah,
and a 0, I would have pulled him then, and then it ended up getting worse, and it went up to 7. Right, I think it's what the score was before they pulled him.
Yeah,
in the 5th inning, is that right?
I think the 4th inning, I think they pulled him.
So
in the 4th.
I get what they're trying to do. They're running out of arms, so to speak, but
they definitely were.
But what are you going to do? Is that really the logic there? I know he's the leader 2 years ago, and he's been the leader last season before he got kind of injured. But it's just. I didn't agree with that. If it's not his day, it's not his day. I did hate seeing him, having to, knowing that's the end of the season like that. And he kind of, it's not his fault because our offense didn't do anything, but it was not a good day. I didn't think. I thought maybe it's an interesting conversation. What were the pros and what were the cons from this weekend? Like, I look at pros, like I thought the outfield played pretty decent at times. There's some really big plays there, particularly Friday night.
Yeah.
Noah
had a good catch yesterday too.
Yeah. I thought they were really good. I thought on offense, I thought Lawson on pitching, on defense. I thought Whitaker pitching were really good. I can't remember what did Williams
Wilson.
Did he do good?
He did all right. He gave up that 2-run home run and ended up giving, I think, up 3 or 4 of the runs. Not all earned.
But I thought the Friday, with Whitaker and Lawson were your best pitching performances of the weekend. I thought offensively, I thought Groover was your best player.
Not a doubt.
And I thought other guys had nice moments. But your downfall was the errors in the game against Campbell the first night didn't hurt you, right? Because you won the game. You won by comfortable. You were hitting home runs. I feel like a lot of it comes down to you played a really good South Carolina team, and that's just part of it. You didn't pitch great, but you didn't hit great either.
You had a chance.
You had a chance. And then Sunday was just they left Sam in there too long, in my opinion, and they were running out of arms. That's what happened there. It's not necessarily Sam's fault. He's doing the best he can in that situation, but it was not his day. So I would have moved on, but I'm not the coach. So
So for me, a couple of things on Saturday, like the 8th inning again for me was a turning point. You hitting that double play. If that's not a double play and that gets by the first baseman, you have second and third with nobody out. You can potentially have a really big inning to tie the game. And then the 9th, we brought the tying run to the plate. So again, to your point making, yes, the pitching wasn't great, but there was enough to keep you in the ball game where your offense could have shown up late and made something happen.
And on Sunday, I thought similar too. There were a couple times, even though Campbell went up 3-0 early.
Yeah,
like I think it was the second inning we had bases loaded, or was it bases loaded?
Either the second or third inning we had bases loaded.
I thought second inning we got like a man on first and second, or third and first, something like that.
Yeah,
and couldn't do anything else. A double play, I think.
Yeah,
and with one out, and then you had another base loaded, double play.
Yep.
And it just like blown opportunities on offense, in my opinion. So
there was a point in the game yesterday where we had as many double plays hit into as we did hits.
That's terrible. How often is that going to happen?
I think it was 4 and 4. I believe that happened. If not, it was close. Yeah. Maybe we had 5 hits, 4 double plays. Like it was close. But for after Campbell got up, it looked like we went really flat. We were making some mental errors. Like there was a play where no one covered first. Cozy had a couple of passed balls uncharacteristically. I have my thoughts on that. I thought that was an issue all season, but we can talk about that at another point. I thought, we just didn't look like we were in it, and then you had Gino's injury, and he was a baller and stayed in the game. That could have been a really serious injury. They obviously taped that up later on. You had Eli Serrano. He was fighting a hamstring injury. If you remember him kind of limping down to first, he had pulled that on a stretch on a play earlier in the game. So we were getting down to guys that were just getting injured. I just think they were just wore out from 3 games in 3 days. You had that mental game Saturday night. You had a quick turnaround, which again, I have thoughts on that as well, where you're penalizing the winners bracket for having to turn around quickly when the loser got more time off. But at the end of the day, Campbell came out and hit the ball. They were the number 1 offensive team, and they showed it on yesterday for sure. And let's not forget, this was a Campbell team that was down 5-0 in the 7th inning on Saturday in an elimination game and turned around and scored 10 runs in the 7th and 8th combined. Sure. So the Central Connecticut pitcher was handling him, and they ended up pulling him, and then the wheels fell off for Central Connecticut. Or that could have been, hey, if you're playing Central Connecticut, you're probably playing South Carolina again. Not saying that would have happened, but Central Connecticut was running out of pitchers
that
too.
Play that 9th inning for them was just bonkers to me.
Yeah,
down 5-1. Was it? Oh, it was not. I think it was 7th inning.
Seventh inning. Where Campbell hit the grand slam.
Yeah,
that was the 7th inning. Yeah. So who knows if that game turns out differently? Maybe we're having a different conversation. Honestly, I don't think anyone was going to beat South Carolina this past weekend. Especially
they were convincingly the #1 seed, and they won convincingly.
They were. So, and the other thing I was going to say, once we went to the losers bracket, I knew we were going to be problematic with our pitching staff, with our arms. We had like 3 guys, and 2 of those guys were freshmen. So there's something to build upon there, right? So they've shown that they can prove in a big moment, and hopefully the staff trusts them moving on, assuming that no one transfers. We'll talk about
it. Before Michael, I'll give you the last comment. We need to move on to kind of wrap this thing up. So, Michael, I'll go and give you the last thought.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a good comment. I mean, the regional kind of went how the whole season went. I mean, you ended up 1-2 in the regional and you only played the top teams. Like, you didn't have to play Central Connecticut State, and that's kind of how the season went. You were close all season in a lot of series. We went 1-2 against Miami, against Virginia. BC, you were right there the whole season and the whole regional, and just couldn't pull it out. So,
yep, absolutely.
Real quick, the other 2 teams that have been really convincing in the regionals, just to go along with what I said with South Carolina, there's not the whole point with South Carolina. There's not many of them. TCU and Kentucky.
Yeah,
Kentucky. Those teams have been really convincing.
Well, Kentucky did get a loss, but I think they ended up winning.
Did they really get one loss?
Yeah, Kentucky got a loss.
No.
Yeah, they did have to play on a loser's bracket. But
I think they
so then TCU
then is the other team. Yeah, that dude yesterday had 11 RBIs, 3 home runs.
You left one other team who was convincing in the regionals.
Who's that?
North Carolina losing?
No. My national championship prediction, Wake Forest, man, slapping everybody the whole weekend.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, Wake Forest can win it all. I'm telling you. I hope everybody got in their betting tickets for plus 400 to win that.
I would say they need to start warming up the ACC chants.
I think the biggest choke job of the weekend was definitely Clemson.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, they
Oklahoma State hosting.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Auburn too, right? I thought Auburn was pretty big. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
a lot of upsets though. That was the thing. You had last comment.
Wait, Wake
You
Forest
had a lot of non-seed guys advance, like a lot. Like I think 3, 4, and 5 are out of the tournament.
That's crazy.
Look at South Carolina, TCU, Wake Forest. Your 3 most convincing seeds or teams so far. I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. So now on to the. Yeah. Now, do you want to talk a little bit here? Not necessarily about Avent and firing. Like, no, there won't be firing with Elliott Avent. I can guarantee you that. Put it in the bank. He is not getting fired. He has done enough for this program. He means enough to this program, this university, that he will leave when he thinks he is ready. Now, the thing which I will say is I think that Avent loves this program and loves the school enough that if he feels that it is his time to step away, that he will do so. Now, I know there's a lot of questions about he's at 998 wins, right? So, if he comes back next season, obviously, hopefully within the first weekend, he will surpass that 1,000 career win mark. Now, do I think that that's a must? Like if Avent called it this season or during this offseason and said, I'm stepping away to let more likely Chris Hart take over, like, is it going to be like, oh my God, like, he didn't get 1,000 wins. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Because the biggest thing is also too, is that again, he will hopefully surpass that in his first weekend. So, if things don't go well next season, are we really going to sit there then next season going, well, at least he got 1,000 wins, right? And again, I'm more of just saying that the 1,000 win thing for me shouldn't be a part of the, convincing factor on why Avent should come back next season. I can stop this right now. He's not going anywhere. And again, he's not going anywhere he's not stepping away. I would be willing to bet my mortgage on it. He's going to be there. Hold on one more second, Macon. He's going to be there until those renovations are done. I promise you that. That's going to be his legacy. Yeah. Well, and again, those renovations are coming either way. And again, no, I get he would step away not for somebody new. He would step away for Chris Hart to take over. He's not going anywhere. So, yeah, no, I agree. So that's my prediction too. But also too, would I be shocked? So if he stepped away, especially good, he's not going anywhere. Yeah. Well, but again, it's more the fact too that literally for two seasons in a row, having again 13 ACC wins and 14 ACC wins, coming off of 2 years ago College World Series win. Also, too, now that we're going to have so much turnover, more likely again we already have 7 that's under transfer portal. There's definitely going to be more. That's a question, but I agree with you, Greg. Yes, I will take 100% your opinion into account that there is no way on God's green earth that he will leave. And so here's a question: when are the renovations going to be done? 2 more years. So according to Greg, it's 2 more years of Avent. What you're saying, right? Well, that's when his contract. He only has 2 more years left in his contract anyway. So what you're saying is, put it down now. He's going to be done at the end of the 2025 season. Yep. Again, unless something crazy happens, right? I mean, obviously, never say never. But I'm telling you, I thought he wasn't going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. He might be forced to go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like that's the difference, right? If he's going to be gone, it's going to be on someone else's word, if you will. Like he's not going anywhere, at least until those renovations are done on his own accord. Because that's his. I mean. That's 2 College World Series. He saw improvements into the new Doak 2.0, whatever we're calling it. Those are going to be his legacies that will have been done under his watch.
If he can't get an ACC championship, who's going to have that?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I really because that's the really negative part on the opposite side, which is 0-7, which is tough, and the fact that yes, he never did even get a first place division finish during his entire time at NC State too, which is definitely a tough pill to swallow as well. But because again, there's no way that he doesn't think about that. Like he might say he doesn't, but anybody who is a competitor is going to think in his head like, man, like it is killing me. I cannot win ACC championship, man. Like that is hanging over my head. Like, and so I guarantee you that if you asked 90%, if you asked all of NC State fans, 90% of them would, when asked the question of which coach would you want to win an ACC championship, who knows the coaches, by the way, not just saying, oh, well, football. Well, because football is king. Well, no, like if you know the coaches, there's no way you don't say Avent. Like Avent absolutely deserves it. And if he wins ACC championship next year, see you, Coach Avent, like right off into the sunset, my man. Like, thank you for all you did. And that is the way you go out right there. If he can pull that out, even if he has 1 year left, I'm saying if you win the ACC championship, see you later, Coach Avent. Have a good one. We appreciate all you done, man.
It's a big gift. But yeah, if he wins it, if he were to win that, or never something else like a national championship,
thank you, man.
Well,
appreciate it.
Go. But I just don't. I don't know. It's a big if at this point, right? So speaking of, well, you go ahead, Greg. You go ahead, Leighton. You got a chance, Netflix.
Well, no, I was going to say. So just we'll see what happens this season. This off season, more of probably on the transfer side, but just something to keep an eye on. Again, 2 more years, $800,000 still left on his contract, and again, as long as we'll have him, it's always great to see a face that you know and love too much there in state. What is it? Locker? What's the freaking plate thing called?
Dugout.
The bench, dugout. There we go. Thank you. I totally forgot my baseball terminology. I was about to call it bullpen. Anyway, Bacon, go ahead, brother.
No, I was going to say. I mean, my thing is, are we expecting a lot of turnover in the baseball team?
Yes,
that's the thing. So a lot of guys right there, I guess.
Yep. Perfect transition, Macon. Thank you. It's like I sent it to you or something like that.
Yeah. Seeing Gupton on that list stinks, but that's just me.
I know.
2 of those guys didn't even make it to spring ball. So baseball is an interesting sport where they cut dudes pretty quickly. It's not like the other sports.
Yeah.
Because remember, the scholarship situation is vastly different than the other sports. The other revenue generating sports. They only get a pool of money, and then they have to divvy it out, and then you get your some people might get 10, 15%, 20%. Right, exactly. Because I think you only I'm not even going to guess. I think you only get like 20 or something ridiculously low. It's not very good. Now there's other ways to do it. You can give them academic scholarships and so on and so forth, and grants, and but actually athletic scholarships, there's only like I said, maybe 20 or something silly. It's not even right considering you carry a roster of like 40 dudes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At least until you get to postseason.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, definitely Michael Gupton Hurst is just especially since his speed was talked about throughout Wolfpack Nation for sure, which is something nice to have, especially since we only had 20 stolen base attempts the entire season, which is definitely something that you want to see improved on.
Attempts or successful?
I think we're only 14 for 20 in stolen base attempts, if I remember the stat correctly.
Attempts, that's pretty poor, actually.
Real quick, it's 11.7 scholarships.
Oh wow.
Wow. It's even lower than I thought. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's why you see such a lot of movement, right? So they're trying to get out of these scholarships, and they're having them shuffle them around and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if even if you're not 100% happy in a spot, you got your scholarship covered to pay for school and stuff. But yeah, with baseball, you don't even have that luxury. So
yeah. True.
And some of these kids are coming from out of state too, so they're paying even higher dollars.
Yeah. So definitely, these are the names right now. Again, we have 6 of them. I think you had one more that just entered as well. And there will be more. Wouldn't be surprised. Carter Trice, definitely a huge head scratcher season. Again, I think for me, when we were doing the preview, that he was for me a hugely hyped prospect. Again, being a freshman All-American, killing it at Old Dominion, and then coming here, and he had a couple of at bats, was unsuccessful to say the least, and then didn't really hear much pretty much the back half of the season. So it's kind of okay, are we going to give him another shot, or is he not going to give us another shot? Is he going to go pro? Like, what's going to happen there? So stay tuned there.
If you had to give me an over or under of 15, I would probably take the over on transfers.
A lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
Just remember last year we had 21 new incoming players. So via either transfer portal or freshmen. So that's just the way baseball is now. I think it's the highest turnover rate in all of the sports, just because you got guys coming and going left and right.
Well, and speaking of turnover too, that kind of takes us nicely into our next topic. So Michael, Mick, and Greg, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up this baseball?
We'll have a baseball recap to get some more into depth on some of the stuff.
100%. All righty. So that being said, we're going to jump on over to Tuffy's tweets of the week to get this thing rolling. Here we go. So wanted to kind of bring up here our guy Jarkel Joyner, and because man, I've seen a lot of news on him recently of visits. I know he worked out for the Hornets. Now he's working out for the Clippers. He's been all over the place doing workouts. So very interesting to see. I mean, I don't know if it's unusual for a guy to get a good handful of workouts like this, but he's definitely getting it for sure. He's definitely getting his chance to try and impress some NBA executives for sure.
Yeah, you got to get invited. I don't think it's. I mean, it's a big deal to get a trial for any NBA team. I think it probably happens more often than you probably think it does, or you might be aware of. But it's like I saw Manny Bates making some rounds, and I don't think he had a great offensive game. But I saw he worked out for the Charlotte Hornets recently and some other teams. But yeah, it's good for him. I mean, he's not going to get drafted. He's probably going to get a free agent somewhere. He might make a minor league team like the Greensboro Swarm kind of thing. And maybe he can play his way up. But I think what Jarkel's going to go for is his character, his maturity is going to be a lot of things that the teams are going to want in their organization. So, I mean, he can play. I mean, he's a player, right? So it's just, I think that's one thing that maybe will help him stand out a little bit. So it's good for him. It's good. I hope he can make it on a team like this. The Clippers have a lot of opportunity, I think, for him. So
yeah, absolutely. Michael, Greg, anything to add to that?
No, it's great. I did see the list too. He has a lot of workouts lined up, so hopefully he gets a shot somewhere.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Agreed. So now, go ahead, Greg, please.
No, I was just say I agree. We always pull for our pros, so I would love to see him. Like we would talk about before. If he has to go the Darion Sebron route, I think there's opportunities out there. If not, he's definitely going to make money overseas.
Yeah, State needs guys in the NBA.
Yeah, that's good recruiting too.
They need. Mm-hmm. Guys, look at Caleb Martin right now. I mean,
dude,
superstar. Not a superstar, but I mean,
should have won Eastern Conference MVP. Should have won Eastern Conference MVP. Maybe debatable.
Yeah, so he was right there.
Yeah, I think if Caleb Martin's name was Jimmy Butler or any kind of big name superstar name, that he would have won MVP, but just because Jimmy Butler's Jimmy Butler. So yeah.
But
I 100% agree there.
I mean, his numbers. I mean, he carried the team in what was that, game 6 or 7, whatever it was that he had that breakout game.
I think it was. I can't remember. It was one of the last. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was one of the last few. I kind of just watched it from afar with the TV on. I didn't really pay that close attention to it, but yeah, it's exciting. I mean, right now, we're gonna have Baby T, and that's really, I think that's really the only true Pac Pro we're gonna have in the league, right? I mean,
say one more time.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Who? Dennis Smith Jr.
I guess. Sure.
Dennis Smith, technically, Steve Bronze with the Pelicans. Steve Bronze with the Pelicans.
But I'm talking about getting drafted. Dennis Smith Jr. would be the only one that really counts.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because there's a lot of accounts, including us, that tweet out talking.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But talking about Caleb Martin being a Wolfpack legend, and a lot of people,
he definitely is
saying
which Wolfpack?
No, he left us and blah blah blah, and it's like, I mean, again,
Yeah, is he Wolf Pack or Wolf Pack legend?
Exactly. That's true. That's true. Either way, he is a Wolf Pack or a Wolf Pack legend. Yeah, that's true. That's 100% fact. I didn't think about
what you need to ask him is trick question. So Cody, Caleb, which college mascot did you play for? The Wolf Pack. Okay, great. That's what I thought. Okay, great.
Wolf Pack. Yeah. Yeah. So, but now
pause.
Yeah, but I did want to take a quick pause. This is kind of the last topic, talking about the past, and now we could talk about the future here, talking about 2023, 2024. So that being said, guys, switch from the black and throw on the white as we got a new athletic year reborn, ladies and gentlemen. So
there we go.
So talking so I know that the biggest thing, one of the coolest things, which I've loved NC State men's basketball doing recently, is doing like these little 1 minute highlights of the incoming players. I thought that was really cool. Seeing Ben Middlebrooks, Julian Taylor, Jaden Taylor, and then seeing MJ Rice too. And saw that video. It's cool seeing these guys practicing, man. I'm like, dude, like, I can't tell if I hate or love the transfer portal, because like seeing this team,
you got to play it right.
Like,
you got to play it right, right?
I'm loving it.
If you know what you're doing and you play the game of NIL, you have a chance. Now, I think I think they just mentioned, do you want to play that game, or do you play it well?
Yeah.
And
true.
Obviously,
give us and take us.
Right. Right. So the guys are going to leave. Guys could totally leave NC State's program, but it's a matter of, can you reload every year now? And
it is not even that, right? Making it's okay. If you lose a guy, you replace him, maybe someone even better, right? Or it fits either your scheme, culture, whatever it is, right? So there's so many different pieces you're looking for in these players now, depending on what you're doing. So
yeah,
I don't know. So as a fan, I guess, do you like the portal or do you hate the portal? Like, do you like the roster turnover, or?
So here's my thought.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I hate NIL, and I hate
NIL. Okay.
The portal. I don't mind it. It's just a matter of what's influencing a player to come to your school.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be all about money, and I really don't believe. I wonder how many players in their heart of hearts, so to speak, really love their school they're playing for.
Right.
Are they just playing for the money? Because now it's going to be all about money. And I just got a feeling that some of these guys, like, do you really believe Nigel Pack and what's the guy's name for the other guy from Miami that transferred in there? Like, both got paid 2 years, $400,000 each. No,
not that guy. He was already there.
Is it Omir or
Omir? Yeah, Norchad Omir.
Norchad Omir. Yeah.
Is that one of those guys? The guy from Florida State? Is that one of the guys you just mentioned?
Oh yeah. No. You're talking about Matthew Cleveland now.
Yeah.
Matthew Cleveland. No, it's another guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, he just left Florida State to go to Miami.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how many of these guys really love their school?
Right.
I feel like that is going to be a dying breed of college athlete. And I don't like that. And so I don't mind the portal. It's just the NIL. But if you use it now, if you're going to be a team that wants to compete for championships in any Power 5 sport now, you're going to have to play that game. We've been over this many times, and it's just the name of the game now. So I hate it. You better learn to love it and figure it out how to use it. So
let me ask you this. If you're a recruit, are you going now for the NIL? Or are you going for the exposure? Are you trying to find a happy medium between the both? Like,
that's
right.
Change.
Like what is
relative to the player and situation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I like it. You don't have to sit through a multi-year rebuild of your team stinking. Like, like we saw, Keats took a team that finished last place, brought in a whole new roster, and made the NCAA tournament. So
go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
No, in that case, I'm a fan.
Hey,
so as long as you're winning, right? You're okay.
Right.
You're a fan with it,
right?
Yeah. So, but again, if you start losing, just bring in new guys next year. You don't have to lose with those guys again for 2 years. So
you don't have to get a quarterback and he be the quarterback. He's going to be our guy, like 2 to 3, 4 years from now. Which is kind of like with the you could look at it almost in the I don't know if I want to go there. There's players of QBs we had in the past where you got to think this guy could be the Devin Leary, right? Nobody thought Devin Leary was going to be the guy year one, but by year 2, year 3, you're like, man, he could be something. And 4-star quarterback. And now, if you don't like the guy, you can bring another guy if you really wanted to.
You can
if they do well, they could leave, right? So
yeah,
I mean,
who's
to say like some of these guys now, like let's say Brandon Armstrong, if he had an extra year and he was awesome, who's to say he couldn't go play for Michigan if they wanted a quarterback? Or I don't know. It's just double-edged sword now. So,
well, I think the only other thing too, I think that your typical State fan who maybe isn't a huge follower of the recruiting / all the insider stuff would more like to have guys that they know every year. That's not like wait, what happened to that guy? Oh, he left. Oh, well then who's that guy? Oh, he came from Michigan. Oh, and then who's that guy? Like, you want every year. And it kind of Michelle talks about here, talking about the Phillip River players are, unfortunately a dying breed. Is that, I mean, if you were a State fan between 2000 and 2003, you knew exactly who your quarterback was. That, and you don't really have that for the most part anymore. If you're in one of the Power 5, levels, it's a tough thing to find a quarterback or a player who's around for starting for 3-4 years, something like that. So
yeah, and I think we kind of talked about it when we did our retrospect episode that just came out this past weekend. That now that the fear of having to sit out is no longer there, players are willing to put themselves out there even quicker, right? Like they would be willing to wait it out 2 or 3 years. And you look at the transfer rate within the last 15 years, I bet it doesn't equal 1 year now. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
I would be interested to see, like you could do like a 10-year period. That number wouldn't even equal what last year's total portal number looked like. It's insane, right? Yeah.
Guaranteed.
But the other thing with that is when you're bringing in portal players, there is still some of that. There's only a one-time transfer rule unless you have some type of waiver, which are hard to get now. So, you do have a little bit of stability when you're building a team from the portal as opposed to building a team from high school. Like Jaden Taylor, I think, has 2 years left. MJ Rice has 3 years left. And barring some crazy circumstance, they're probably locked in to NC State for the rest of however long they're in college. I mean, if they could still go pro early, but the freshmen, the Parkers that we're bringing in, they could be gone. You could have them next year and that's it because they haven't used their transfer yet. So it's an advantage that way when bringing players in if they have multiple years left.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing I'll talk. Oh, sorry, my computer froze. I thought you were done, Michael. The other thing that I would say is, you going back to the baseball team, you had 21 transfers into the program. It takes a while to gain chemistry and trust and just playing together, right? Because you look at someone like Parker Nolan and Trevor Candelaria, they played together all 4 years at Davidson plus 1 at State. That's 5 years. So when you're playing the outfield, right, you know who's going to get what, who's got each other's back, how their angles play. There's a lot to be said, right? The same with the quarterback, trying to figure out the routes of a receiver and the timing and all of that. So that chemistry, that timing, it takes time. So that's the disadvantage of it, where if you have a guy in a program for 3 or 4 years, they've been playing with that dude, they've been throwing to that dude, they've been passing to that dude, whatever it is, it vastly changes the dynamics too.
Yeah, absolutely. Which kind of quick thing about football too. And that kind of goes to my exact point too, because I've seen a lot of people comment talking about, how they want MJ Morris to be the starting quarterback for next year, which I mean, I know that all of us, especially, because the fact that dude obviously decided to stick around was huge. And so you got to love the guy, no doubt about it. And you see the talent
though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that definitely didn't help either. Or that definitely didn't hurt either. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, you see the talent there though, for sure. But I mean, for me, I'm saying, listen, I think Dorn should just go ahead and say, Brain Art, I mean, he could do his mind games and not say it, but I think that he'd be crazy not to go ahead and just move forward as if Brain Armstrong is going to be the guy next year and get that guy throwing every single first team rep with the wide receivers, get that chemistry going. Because since he doesn't have a lot of time to lose, he came in late And he only has a certain amount of days until he only has now less than 90 days until game 1 against UConn. So every single rep he can get to get that chemistry going, we got to get that going. And then kind of going to our next tweet of the week. The beautiful scoreboard is coming along, ladies and gentlemen. For those who are watching us on YouTube, you are seeing that our scoreboard is coming to life. It's looking gorgeous. So excited, man! It's gonna be.
Is that
huge.
the full width, or is that
like
that's the full width of it?
I don't know. I see. What I'm curious.
I don't think it is.
I don't know if I think it's going to go over it, right? I think it's
right.
going to expand.
I don't think it is.
You see in the far left picture where the bathroom / concession area is,
right?
From the computer images we saw during the season last year, it even hangs over that. Which I mean, as you can see, it's not quite there yet. Okay. So I think there's still.
I thought that whole bleacher, the whole bleachers section, I thought was covered, like what it was.
Well, think about it. It's going to be 10 yards wider than the field, so that doesn't look as wide as the field.
Yeah, that has to.
That doesn't look like as wide as the field.
Not yet.
Wow.
But it's coming along though.
So big.
I know it's gonna be gorgeous. I'm so
excited. One thing I don't hear them say anything about, I know they can't put pictures of it, but like, has anybody heard any updates on the speaker system? I know they were doing that too.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
I think it's be behind it, right? Is it going to be like? I think the speaker is going to be in the scoreboard.
Probably some.
I would, yeah, and because audio system, I don't think it definitely doesn't take. I'm no expert, but I would say the audio system putting in place doesn't take even close to as long as the scoreboard. And I would say that since the audio system is a part of the scoreboard, they have to wait until a certain stage of the scoreboard input process in order to start with audio.
Put that picture back up again. I'm gonna make sure I see it right.
Well, as he's doing that, I thought I remember when they did the announcement that the scoreboard was going to be a concert grade audio system.
Correct.
So I think that all the audio is going to be built into this thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because keep in mind that I could be wrong, but
hopefully it's good. That's all I care about.
It could have got
right, exactly.
But I'm pretty sure that hanging down from the upper level, facing the lower level, there was around the stadium speakers that kind of hung off the upper level, underneath the overhang. But so I mean, like, I don't know if necessarily all the audio is going to be in the scoreboard, but we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for it either way.
So let me clarify. So I'm looking at a picture here that that GoPack.com has.
Oh, the rendering.
I think that is the full width because of the new scoreboard. Really? Yep, because the current video board from like last season would have been from about where you start seeing the white of the Wolves and the football player on the painting. That's where the screen was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just hard to tell because none of these pictures are straight on.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Now it's almost
a scoreboard picture of it dead on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and now it's almost as wide as that whole bleacher stand.
If you go back to it one more time, sorry,
man,
this will be the last time, I promise. Look at the gates on the far right. Look at the entry gates. So that kind of gives you some perspective a little bit, as that's a little bit to the right of the Wolf mural. So I think it's. I think that is the whole size of it.
It is the whole thing according to these renderings and pictures that they have on the GoPack.
Because initially there was 4 posts, right? And those are those brown ones, and then they put those new black posts on the outside of it.
It's got a stat here. It says 6 foot wider than the field is what it says.
6 foot wider? Okay, yeah. So
43 foot tall, 166 foot wide. Top 10 largest scoreboard and college video board in the country. 51 feet wider than the bell tower is tall. It'd be 789 55-inch TVs.
So Leighton, we need some inside intel because you got people on the ground. You got boots on the ground that have inside information. You need to find out if that's the full size right there.
Oh, it is.
All right.
I am his inside info, Greg. So there you go.
Okay, got it.
I'll triple confirm it though. Yes, not a problem. I'll triple confirm it. I'll let the people know in the Discord, which you haven't joined our Discord.
There you go. Good,
do that.
Good promo there. Good plug. Yeah.
So, but gotta kind of wrap this thing up here, talking about 2 quick things. One, gotta talk about the announcement of our new softball coach getting announced, Lindsay Leftwich. After so much time of wondering, obviously with having to let go of our former coach so early in the season, there was a huge lull here, and now we finally know that Lindsay Leftwich, former assistant coach for LSU, is going to be our new head softball coach. And to me, when I first heard the news, I thought it was an absolute home run. I thought it was exactly the kind of Yeah. I thought it was the exact kind of background that I think we need here. Somebody who has been around a winning program, somebody who has been with a softball powerhouse for 13 years, and somebody who's also too now been able to work with a coach in Beth Torina from LSU, who now has produced over a dozen different Division I coaches underneath her coaching tree. So, and I mean, she was Lindsay Leftwich was a part of all the recruiting, the defense, the recruiting, video scouting camps. Like, she was fully involved in the LSU side. So, I mean, to me, I love it. Now, the question which I do want to ask for those who are here with us, and then for you guys here, is that there was a question of, would you rather had gone after somebody who had previous head coaching experience, maybe from a lower level school? To me, it's about who's available. To me, it's about, I mean, is it the right fit? I feel like that.
How much does that matter in softball?
Well, because my thing is that I think that having somebody who knows what it takes, who's been around,
right.
Who knows what kind of player is the most successful at this level. I think.
So, what was her title at LSU? Do we know the answer to that
assistant coach, right?
Assistant coach.
She like the assistant coach?
I mean, if she's been around the program, if she's been assistant coach for 12, 13 years, I feel like you have to be, yeah.
I mean, with where the softball program is now, I feel like anybody with her resume is going to be an improvement. It's going to improve the program. She's been to four College World Series, making the finals twice with LSU. Yep. Being there for 13 years, and with that resume, I'm sure she's gotten offers at other places.
I'd be surprised if she didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it. Obviously you can go in different directions, like you're saying. Go after somebody with head coaching experience. Go after somebody with North Carolina ties, or looks like Boo Corrigan go after an assistant coach at an established program.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much it matters from a thing. I'd be curious if she's been involved in around that so much as an assistant. I don't know. I'm cool with it. I think it's a really good hire for me. I don't know anything about her other than what I see on paper, though. So that's the thing. I don't know how much of the call is there. But to me, what I really liked was seeing, and maybe it's because it's just the way the nature, but Coach Torina's comments about her were really good. I thought it was interesting how much she harped on her, like the kind of person she is as much. And because I don't know, there were some rumors going around about the softball coach previously. So it sounds like that might be a really big priority for them. But again, you're not going to, like, LSU is a dominant powerhouse softball program.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about baseball, right? Coach Avent's not going to leave unless Chrysler is the guy, right? So, and he's assistant. He's not been a head coach anywhere, has he?
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it that much different? And they're from a national, NC State's a pretty respectable powerhouse baseball team, but they're not. They're not TCU or South Carolina or Arkansas or that kind of thing. So, like, I'm okay with this. I think it's good.
Well, and a couple things I want to add real quick, and Greg, I'll let you go add in here. So first of all, talking about, so I mean, we definitely got in line. I will go ahead and let everybody who's tuning in here with us, we did get in line to have Coach Leftwich on the show here. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And we'll definitely we really wanted to kind of dive in and get to know kind of her vision for the program, get to know her a little bit, because when you look online, there's really no interviews about her. So it's really kind of tough to know much about her besides what we see on paper, just like Macon was saying. Bob, says a great point here, talking about how culture is not everything, but after the last debacle, the last coach, we need someone with a good, strong personality, positive. And that was my other last thing, which I want to kind of add, which I want to kind of hand off to you, Greg, which is that seeing the former NC State softball alumni and seeing how excited they were about this hire, I think, to me, says volumes, says about everything that I think that any State fan needs to know about, how good of a hire this is that literally every single comment I saw from a former in-state softball player was, "Oh, I love the LSU program. I've been following Coach Leftwich. I love this hire. So excited to support this team." So, Greg, I'll hand it off to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was actually one of the points I was going to make. But the other point I was going to make is back to the, do you want an assistant from a type of Power 5 conference or an up and coming coach? And so I don't think you can go, there's arguments for both sides, obviously, but I like the fresh face, even if you've never been a coach before. Maybe she brings in somebody with some previous lower coaching experience. But it sounds like from everything you were reading about her resume, she's done a little bit of everything. So she has experience. She's just never been the one to call the shots, right? So she's not new to recruiting. She's not new to roster management and so on and so forth. It sounds like she did a little bit of everything at LSU. So it's not like you're bringing in someone who was the fourth assistant that's only had 5 years of experience or whatever. Right. So I like the establishment. Obviously there's always money involved. So it's like you go out and get the best candidate for the money that you have available. Just remember, this is Boo's second coaching hire. His first one was volleyball, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So, but yeah. Okay. I think we had this conversation once before. Yeah.
When we fired the softball coach.
Yeah. So this is his second hire. So this is still some new uncharted waters. The volleyball program has gotten better. Still not to where we want it to be, but that's still in its early stages with this coach. So, I'm excited. Anytime you bring in new blood, it hopefully it's a shot in the arm to get the program launched. Obviously, we talked about the recruiting class from a couple of years ago. It was a strong top 10 type class, maybe even top 5 if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be interesting to see how many that new coach can hold over and then build upon for her upcoming recruiting class, and what she can hold together.
Yeah, absolutely. So very excited to see about the future of softball, and definitely one that I think that hopefully once we get Coach Leftwich on the show, we can get a lot of in-state fans really buying into her and the vision of this program. Because with how tough that ACC has gotten in softball, we need to be backing up to and really trying to push and trying to get into this fight here in the ACC and nationally for sure. And then to kind of wrap this thing up, I wanted to kind of talk about another piece of exciting news which we saw today, which is that we welcomed our highest ranked recruiting class in program history, ranked 5th in the country by college tennis recruiting. And I don't know if you guys can see, but way down the line at number 14, you see another school, North Carolina, at 14, and then us at 5.
But they have a national championship. We don't. So
I know, but hey, it's always good to see. Hey, we're up there, especially when you see
we're in relatively uncharted territory for women's.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, we talked about it too, right? It was like, where do you go from being the runners up, right? How do you maintain this moving forward? And this is definitely what you want to see.
Yep. Well, and especially kind of talk about this class is highlighted by 3 players. Gabriella Broadfoot, who is ranked number 97 in the ITF junior rankings. And then Rhea Coe is number 38 in the class of 2023. And then Maddie Zampardo, who's ranked number 9 in the class of 2023 and is top-ranked recruit out of Michigan and is number 9 in the USTA junior rankings. Wow. So definitely a very, very impressive recruiting class for sure. Kind of to the level, kind of comparison level of women's basketball, highlighted by Zoe Brooks and that class. I think this is another class which should kind of build off of the success that women's tennis already has established. So losing players like Alana Smith, you bring these players like this back in, and you're ready to rock and roll and compete for a Final Four national championship again next season. So I'm very, very excited to see that. All righty. So with that being said, we will wrap things up right there. But the biggest thing which I want to talk about is, so last week we came out with part 1 of the 2013 team review. Part 2 will come out tomorrow. I do apologize, as I just with all the craziness weekend just never kind of got around to releasing it, but we'll release that tomorrow. And then we'll also have our interview with Alana Smith. Talking about Alana Smith, we'll have our interview with her coming out later this week as well. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And make sure you don't miss that. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that way you're notified all your devices. And then for those who are tuning in as well, I want to go ahead and put a little disclaimer out there that now that we are done with in-state baseball, starting tomorrow, we will be starting our countdown to NC State football, just like we did last year, and highlighting some great moments from NC State football history. So the biggest favor, which I wanted to ask if you're tuning in, is at the very least, please DM us on Twitter, or Instagram or whatever, and DM us whatever moments that come to your head. Want really, as because especially since we're going to have about 85 of them. We need as much input as we can for sure. And if you can send us even clips of it, because we want to show a video clip for each of those moments to help, that would be a huge help for us. We really appreciate that. So that's the only favor that we can ask at this time, besides give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Michael, Making Greg, anything to say as we wrap up, I guess the last show, kind of talking about the 2022-2023 athletic year?
I just say I have 87 days to rest my vocal cords.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. No traveling for Greg coming up. It's just gonna be sad, man.
I know.
Your wife must love it. Your wife must love it.
She does. She does.
But again, I mean, just a huge, thank you to this year for, another team national. Did we win 2 national championships? It was just one from cross country, correct?
Women's cross country.
Well, we got team and then individual.
Yeah,
the team and individual. Yeah, absolutely.
Got an important question here.
What's that?
Michael, you've been doing some painting.
I said before this wall is going to be painted next week. I'm going to have a new background.
So I don't see red on there. Is all I'm saying.
No, it's not going to be red.
I get that. I get that. But either way, again, a in-state athletic program high in 4 different ACC championships. So definitely a great year, but definitely looking next season.
It'll be curious to see where the final Directors Cup standings come out to be. I think that'll be the final thing for this for the year.
For sure, but definitely got to hope that if we do win, 3, 4, 5 of them next year, that one of them can be in baseball, men's basketball, or football for sure. Definitely praying to God for one of those. Please, God, please give us one of those. But really excited for it, and we'll be talking all about it, previewing it here over these next few weeks, and previewing a huge football season. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see y'all soon. As always, go Pack, y'all. Thanks again.